Episode 5 of Apple TV Plus Dickinson Season 2 was titled Forbidden Fruit, A Flavor Has. When she learns that Sam plans to publish her poem, Emily embraces being his latest discovery while attending one of Sue's salons. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with my weekly recap, breakdown, and review of the latest episode of Apple TV Plus Dickinson Season 2. We're talking Episode 5, and so excited to break it all down in this spoiler review. Before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you all are following me on all my other social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which you can find all those links in the description below. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing, and while you're at it, hit the notification bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this review. It not only helps out the channel, but I also appreciate all the support. And in the comment section, let's discuss episode 5 of season 2 of Dickinson. I want to know you all's pros, cons, your thoughts, your theories. Do we think that Emily will take a bite of that forbidden fruit and hook up with Sam Bowles? Let me know your thoughts on that, and let's have a discussion about it all in the comments below. So overall, as I had mentioned in my review last week, it didn't really focus too much on Emily. Yes, she had her self-discovery moment with kind of discovering her poems and being popular and things of that nature, but I found the supporting characters to be a little bit more in the forefront in regards to their story, being more kind of involved in that story. But this one definitely gave us more of Emily and her wanting to be famous and potentially being this kind of eye candy for Sam. And is he making his way to hooking up with Emily, as he's rumored to be publishing women, but in return they have to sleep with him? So much to really dive into in this episode, but overall I definitely found this episode to be a little bit more of Emily's story, more so than what we got last week, but nonetheless a really enjoyable episode. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. So let's get into the recap. As the episode opens up, we see Emily practicing in front of the mirror, getting ready to be shown off for Sam in regards to her getting her poems published in his newspaper. And she's preparing for this, and she has these words of encouragement by the made-up imaginary version of Sam. As we know, Emily has a really interesting imagination, and it makes me kind of wonder, does she make up other moments with Sam? And particularly, I think of the moment last week when she was lost in the maze. Was that a real moment with Sam, or was that made up? It really kind of makes me wonder what moments were real and what moments are fake with Sam and Emily. But nonetheless, we see it again. She's preparing herself for this night at the salon. As we kind of fast forward, we see Sue preparing herself for the salon, and yet again she'll be hosting this party, and she wants this to be known for the night that two legendary people came together with Emily and Sam in regards to making history, or history in the making of those two working together. Again, we're still seeing these shades of Sue kind of embracing the luxurious lifestyle, having money, throwing these parties, spending money on painting, and we still haven't really gotten back to the Sue that we met last year. Again, I'm wondering when we're going to kind of dive into her character regarding this switch in character, but again, she's loving this lifestyle, and really more or less we're seeing her kind of push Emily in the direction of Sam, even though that Sam's married to Mary, and we'll talk about that later. But it's really interesting to see this kind of character switch in Sue. I don't really know if I'm a fan of the character so far, and I hope they explain kind of her switch in her mentality in regards to how she carries herself. But going back to the recap, we see that nobody wants to join Emily in regards to her family. Everyone, especially her mom, is just like, I don't like the way that Austin and Sue are spending their money and living this lifestyle. So they're going to have a nice evening of, as Sam puts it, novels and chill. I thought that was a really funny moment. But going into the salon, we see that Emily makes her arrival, and immediately she just comes out and says, hey everybody, I'm Emily Dickinson. I'll be published in the newspaper, as we kind of have a funny moment there. And this is where the planting of the seeds of what Sam actually does with these women that he works with, which is he brings these women in to write in his newspaper. In exchange, he gets to sleep with them. And we see Emily like, no, that's not true. And they mention that she's very old school. So it'll be really interesting to see if that is the case. If Sam, he's so persuasive in the way he kind of talks to Emily and the way he carries himself. And we'll talk about the ending of this episode. But something that, again, when you plant a seed in Emily, she always runs with that. Whatever you tell her in regards to, she always kind of looks more into situations than they really should be looked to. But I think there's some truth to, again, the persuasion of Mr. Sam Bowles. But we see Sue yet again plays up to the idea that these two are meant to be together. She says that it's destiny. And again, it brings me to Sue is really going back to episode 1 of this season. She wants to kind of break her way away from Emily regarding them romantically. So again, Sue's a very different character from the first season. We get a kind of mixture of a bunch of scenes of Lavidia and Chip having an English English lesson night. Sam shows Emily off. The idea of him kind of sleeping with other women comes up when he's talking to one of his painters that he's published, and, you know, kind of gets into the conversation. We see Sue and Austin yet again have an argument about the Newman girls and in regards to them not being on the same page. And Austin actually finally reveals to Sue the reason why he took them on is due to the inheritance money. So again, their relationship is definitely on rocky terms, and I think they're going to end up kind of parting ways. But again, Sue loves that lifestyle. We'll see if she'll bite the bullet in regards to their relationship. But you see Emily approaching Sue about the rumors, and Sue kind of dismisses that and brings up her friend Mary, who's actually married to Sam, and they were best friends at one point. So again, and she reminds her, as she says, that Mary and Sue, or say Mary and Emily, are very similar. So I can't wait to see that interaction of when Mary finally meets Emily and if they are very similar in their characteristics. But we have this moment here about freedom. We have again, the saloon is about literature and being intellectual. So we see, again, this plays more into Henry's subplot regarding freedom and slavery, things like that. And I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I want to keep my eye on that subplot. And I like that the show is still kind of having that story and kind of fleshing it out regarding Austin wanting to help Henry and Hattie out with the pressmaker. So I like the subtleness of how they're throwing that into the plot regarding being free and slavery. So I'm liking how the show is handling it so far. Again, we have to see what else they're going to bring to that storyline. But as we wrap up the episode, we see the invitation of Mary and Emily coming together at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then we definitely see Sam throwing in those flirtatious comments towards Emily. And it gets Emily kind of thinking, like, maybe, you know, he's not really kind of wanting to use me. Maybe he really does like me. As we wrap up the episode ends with Emily writing a poem in regards to meeting Mary, and she's imagining herself. This is when Dickinson became kind of rated X. We see Emily imagining herself sleeping with Sam, as it's all made up, obviously, but again, it's in her mind that maybe there's more to Sam than just being my publisher. Maybe, you know, we might have more in common than just editor and the poet. So it'll be really interesting to see where that relationship goes. If, again, the rumors are true and Sam's just using her to hook up and, you know, obviously kill two birds with one stone. I get to make someone famous, but I also get to have a kind of scandalous, forbidden relationship with Emily. Or if he really is into Emily, or if it's nothing at all. He is he's honest to his wife. He doesn't sleep with the women that he publishes. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But again, we'll see what Emily does, and when she meets Mary, that'll be a really interesting moment. And again, keep an eye on Sue as well in regards to her personality change and kind of living that rich lifestyle. And if she's going to come back to Earth, and when her and Austin maybe butt heads and part ways, she's not going to have that lifestyle anymore. So I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed Emily's storyline. I'm really excited to see that meeting between Emily and Mary, hopefully in next week's episode. But this is my thoughts on the latest episode, episode 5. But I want to know what you all thought. Your pros, your cons, your thoughts, your theories on Sue, Emily, Mary, Sam, you name it. Let's discuss it all in the comment section. As always, make sure to like this video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of my new reviews, live streams, and all the fun things we do on this very channel. Hope you all are staying safe. Hope you enjoyed this review, and we'll see you in the next video.